Let's talk about your free time. What do you like to do on the weekend?
Well, on the weekends, I like to play some sports like football or use my rollers for skate on the road. I also like to do bicycle, things like it's related to the fitness life.
Do you prefer to spend your free time indoors or outdoors?
Well, it depends how is the weather like because in Mexico we have two seasons. So during winter, sometimes it's really cold and I don't like the rain or I don't like the cold weather because I think that you cannot move properly to do activities outside. So during the winter, I prefer the indoors activity, but in the summer, I prefer the outdoor activities because I love to be in, I don't know, in a park, enjoying the weather, see the grass, feel the nature.
Now let's talk about your local area. What interesting places are in your local area?
Well, the most important or most iconic place it's called the Cerro de la Silla in Mexico, in Monterrey. Monterrey it's really famous because there are mountains around. So it's something that I really like about my town. And there are different activities that you can do out the mountains, like senderisms or I don't know, like walking to the mountain is something that I love because the view is amazing.
How has your local area changed in recent years?
Well, I feel that my town changed a lot because it used to be like, I feel bad about that, but like a ranch, like a really small, but now it's growing up more as a city. They are spending a lot of money building a new apartments or new offices, like everything is growing up in terms of no more houses. There are more like buildings and things like that. And I really like because the city looks more interesting and also there are different festivals or events coming up every single month, for example. And I think that also helps to the tourists. So it's a city that the people can know more in an international environment nowadays.
Let's talk about creativity. Do you enjoy creative activities?
Yeah, well, I used to love to do these activities when I was child, but I feel that when I start to grow up, you don't have enough time for these activities because I used to do like all of these, I don't know, with the paper, with painting, like all of these ideas when I was young. But now I think more about job, I think more about clean my house. I don't know. So I feel like I am a creative person, but I don't practice creative things anymore.
What creative things would you like to try in the future? Before we continue, I've created something very special for you. It's the Band 7 Speakers Breakthrough Checklist, the exact framework that identifies the 4 hidden barriers keeping you stuck at a low score. If you want that, all you have to do is just go in the description and you can download it instantly for free. Go to the description, click the link, and it's yours.
Well, I would like to learn about how to make acrylic painting, something that I really love. Because I watch in social media the technique and all of these artistic, I don't know how to call piece of arts that they create, and I love it. And I would like to learn to do something like that. Also, I think that it could be good for start a business, like start to sell the pieces of art. But yeah, it's called like acrylic painting.
Now let's talk about learning. How do you learn best?
I think that I learn best watching and listening. For me, when I need to read something, it's really hard. And it doesn't catch my attention, something like when it's in a paper. I don't know, I need to read 1, 2, 3 times to catch the idea. So when I saw videos or when I listen something that I am interested about, it's where I must learn. So it's for that reason that I like to watch, I don't know, like documentaries or everything that is like audio visual. I don't know if it's called like that. Yeah, okay. So it's how I learned the most.
Do you prefer learning alone or with other people?
That's a hard question. I think that with another people. Yeah, because when I am alone, I don't feel that I can focus myself like 100% focus in something. But when I am with a team or with a group of people, I feel like it's a good challenge for me to try to be the best one or the first one. So it's like, oh my God, everyone is learning together. And I feel that the energy is good around when you are in a group of people. The energy, the vibration is like, oh my God, everyone is doing something together. So I love that. And also I feel like it's a challenge for me. So I prefer to learn with more people around me. I would like to speak about one tradition in Mexico that is called the Day of the Dead, which is celebrating on the 2nd of November. I love this celebration, this tradition, because it's something that basically the Mexican people think that after that we die, every single 2nd of November, the people can return for the dead. It's something scary, but basically some people say that in Mexico we celebrate the dead. You prepare a table with some food, with water, with toys or whatever things that the people used to like when the people was alive. So basically the 2nd of November they have the permission to come and visit again our world. And something interesting about that is that there are a Mexican movie in Disney that is called Coco. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite ones. And they explain how we celebrate the Day of the Dead. And after that movie, every single people start to be interested about this tradition. So I feel that in the past maybe 5 years, international people start to learn more about this tradition and start to learn more about the Mexican culture. And it's something that I love to, how can I say, I love to share with the people that is from another countries, because I think that we can realize a little bit what can we happen after the death.
So we've been talking about an important tradition that it's important in your culture, and we're going to continue to talk about culture and traditions. Why do some traditions survive while others disappear?
For be honest, specifically with the Day of the Dead, I think that the past generations used to celebrate every single time this special day. So they used to prepare everything and to make sure that they receive the tradition or this special day. But I don't know, I think that nowadays the people is more thinking about the war, they are worried about another thing, so they start to lose this tradition. But when this movie start to be watching for people in basically in another countries, the people start to feel proud about that tradition again. So I think that it's just about the generation. Some people don't have the time for do the things that the grandparents used to do. So it's for that reason that I think that a tradition can be missed. But when something in social media start to grow up, I think that we can recover that tradition again.
Do you believe that the education system should teach traditional culture?
Yeah, well, I remember that when I was a child, they used to celebrate the traditions, the Mexican traditions, like the Day of the Dead. But I don't know if the child can properly understand the tradition. I mean, if you don't explain or if you don't give the information to the kids, they will don't learn or they will don't know what they are doing. They just think that, oh, it's normal, but they don't understand that why it's the tradition like that. So I think that it's important to teach them more the story about the tradition that they are trying to share.
Why do some cultures resist outside influences more than others?
I think that because they are really close-minded. I don't know. For example, if you think that, oh, my culture is the best or my tradition is the best, and you don't go outside to the world to learn, that could be hard. Because it's good to learn about another traditions and to know about another cultures. Now we have the social media, we have everything that we can think about, or everything that we want to learn about, we can search on internet, and that's amazing. But if you don't share your culture, or if you are just close in terms of, oh, my culture is the best, you cannot have a different experience about traditions in another countries.
So let me give you some feedback and give you your score. So I'm going to talk about strategies and tactics for part 1, part 2, and part 3. And then I'm going to give you your individual scores. So part 1, because you've got this far in the video, I want to give you a reward. I want to offer you 10% off our VIP course, where you get personalized one-on-one feedback on our best strategies. Link in the description. All you have to do is just go and click that link, and you get your exclusive discount of 10% off. See you inside the VIP course. Part 1, you are extremely fluent, and you can answer pretty much any question we throw at you, which is really, really good. What I would suggest you do for part 1 is try and steer it towards topics you feel comfortable talking about, because sometimes you struggle to find the right word. You stop to try and think of the correct vocabulary. Like you say, like the buildings are going up, and you can't kind of access the right word, or you say, like, how'd you say this? So what I would suggest you do is, some of these questions are quite vague. So you can steer it towards things that you know a lot about. So maybe that could be your job, or the things that you're passionate about. You won't be able to do that all the time, but that will allow you to be even more fluent and be able to use that word. But if you are stuck with a word, try and just explain it in a simpler way. Instead of trying to, what is the correct word for the buildings going up? You could just say, there are taller buildings, or there are bigger buildings, But just, it's better to say the buildings are getting bigger, which is a simple way of saying it, than to say, oh, what do I mean? The buildings are going up, they're getting bigger, or they're getting taller. That is a correct way, and will allow you to be more fluent. So I would play it a little bit safer with that, and try to steer it towards those familiar topics. So is there anything that you're really passionate about, that you know a lot about?
I think that it could be like the fitness activities.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that you know a lot more vocabulary about fitness, working out, going to the gym, things like that. If they were asking about your likes and dislikes, or what you do in the weekend, talk about, I love going, even though it's not maybe correct. Maybe you don't go to the gym at the weekend. Maybe you're very lazy at the weekend. The examiner doesn't know that. The examiner is not giving you a lie detector test. It's not about telling them the truth. It is about getting the highest score possible. So if you are really into sports and into the gym, and they say, what do you do on the weekend? Even if you don't do that, just say, I love going to the gym, and I use this machine, and then I go and do this, blah, 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 Part 2, I really liked the way that you picked something that was easy for you to talk about. As you're from Mexico, Day of the Dead is something that you can easily talk about. Again, you were very, very fluent. I think you could talk about that for 10 minutes, not just 2 minutes. So you did use the tactic that I'm suggesting, which is pick something easy for you to talk about. So that was very, very good in part 2. Again, in part 3, I really liked the way that you used real answers. So you didn't try and come up with some impressive idea to try and impress the examiner. You just used your real life. You talked again about the Day of the Dead and used real examples. And that really, really helped. So let's give you your scores.
I'm
So
worried.
let's talk about your biggest strength. It's very interesting to have someone from Mexico. Spanish speakers are very different to most of the people who watch our channel. Most of the people who watch our channel are from places like India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, or from Southeast Asia, Vietnam, China, places like that. In Asia, not every single Asian country, but a lot of the classrooms, the students are so worried about making a little grammatical mistake that they never speak, and their fluency is not as good. Whereas you guys, again, not everyone, you speak all the time and you make mistakes all the time, which means that you're very, very fluent, but you'll make more grammatical errors. So it's really interesting for our audience to have someone like you. So I think your biggest strength is your fluency and your coherence. Coherence is answering the question. You always have a good answer for the question. You always develop your answers really, really well. And your fluency is good. You do sometimes stop in the middle of a sentence because you're trying to find the right word.
Something that I think that it happens with, I don't know, Mexican people. I will speak in general because I share this with my friends and everything, is that we have 5 possible words for one English word. So when my mind is thinking like this word, and in English is maybe just one, but my mind is just confused about how can you translate this word. So I becomes a little bit like lost.
Yeah.
When I try to explain something, my brain is doing double work because it's not just speaking, it's trying to translate and speak, translate and speak.
Yeah, again, it's one of the advantages and disadvantages of your mother tongue. So some languages are completely different from English. To get to the next level in English, you need to operate 100% in English and stop thinking. I know this is my wife always says, how can I stop thinking in my head? How can I do that? But you need to get to the point where you're dreaming in English. You know, where everything is happening in English. And it's very, very difficult because people get into a habit of translating everything. You're using 2 different parts of your brains at the same time, and that's extremely tiring. It's like having a computer with two big programs open at the same time. It's just taking up too much RAM.
How I feel.
So it depends on what you want to do. If you really want to improve your English massively, you have to go through a period where you're forcing yourself to just operate in English and just force yourself to do that. It will mean that your fluency will actually dip down and you'll get worse for a while because it's like, you know, it's like trying a new sport. You'll be terrible at it. So it's like for the first time you're really speaking English without translating, but it will get better and better and better. Your highest score would be for fluency. It is about 7 because you are so fluent. You do stop from time to time to try and think of the correct vocabulary, but it doesn't stop me understanding the meaning of the sentence. And so that is very, very good. The other thing that you're quite good at is vocabulary. You are using some very high level vocabulary at times. However, there are times when you, again, the building's going up. You know, what is that? You're searching for the right words, but there are also lots of really good examples of the vocabulary that you're using. For example, this. And the key thing is that whenever you're searching for the right word, you will often reformulate and give a simpler idea. You will explain what you're talking about. It's not as if you have a lack of vocabulary that stops me understanding you. You will often say, like, how'd you say? And then you will come up with it. And then you will say it in a different way, reformulate it, so that you can be clearly understood. So you would get a band 7 for vocabulary as well. Let's move on to pronunciation. Your pronunciation is quite good. However, you do have some issues that lots of Mexican speakers and Spanish speakers have. For example, you get your V's and your B's mixed up. So a lot of Spanish speakers will say video instead of video.
Exactly.
You know, for example, you said the environment instead of the environment. So it's all about how we are brought up speaking our own language. Mexicans and Spanish speakers don't use B's and V's the same way.
Exactly.
That it's because of the shape of your mouth, the shape of your tongue. You also said a word young, but it sounded like drunk.
Oh
young,
my God.
drunk. I said a young. You went yeah instead of, or it was a j instead of a yeah. It sounded like. So you're getting some of these consonants mixed up. You also sometimes don't pronounce the final consonant, so you'd say whirl instead of world.
I'm really worried about that now.
No. So the most important thing is 99% of the time I can understand you, no problem. It is only 1%, 2% of the time where I have to really, what did she say? Oh, okay, she was saying that.
Okay.
That's what it means. But to get a band 7 or above, the examiner must be able to listen to 100% of what you're saying and not really have to strain to really think about what you're saying. Because of those little issues, that would get you a band 6 instead of a band 7 for pronunciation, which is still very good, but you need to work on those consonant sounds especially. So the final consonant sounds, the v's and the b's and the y. What I would recommend you do is, if you want to improve that, is actually record yourself speaking, and you and your boyfriend could then listen back to it.
Oh, but that makes me feel embarrassed to hear myself.
You can do it by yourself then. A little trick that I teach a lot of students that are embarrassed and don't want to do it with other people is get something like Siri, where you can, do you have Siri on your phone?
Yeah.
And you can talk to it and it will or there's the notes, Apple Notes.
Yeah.
And you can actually talk to it. And if it doesn't understand you, you know that you've made a mistake. So if you said very and it writes berry, B-E-R-R, or it didn't understand you at all, then you know that that's an issue. And then you could record yourself at the same time and listen back. And there is a great app called The Sounds of Speech, and it will show you how the tongue and everything needs to be and how the lips need to be.
Okay.
See? And then you can get a mirror or on your phone, you know, the selfie camera, and actually make that. So for example, if you try to make the sound E, you will smile. So say E.
E.
You smile. And then say ooh.
Ooh.
See? But try to say E while doing this. Ooh. You can't do it. so pronunciation is all in your muscle. And there's some great YouTube channels. Pronunciation with Emma, that's really good for British pronunciation. And she shows all of the mouth movements and everything. But it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to work in an English-speaking company and move to an English-speaking country and have everyone understand you at all times? Or do you want to move to somewhere where it's not important that, 99% of the time people understand you? That's okay. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to be a doctor in the UK, it needs to be 100% of the time.
Exactly.
But if you wanted to work in a restaurant in Dubai, it doesn't have to be 100%, People will be able to understand you 99% of the time, and that's fine, You would get a band 6 for pronunciation. So you have 7 for fluency, which is really good. 7 for lexical resource, very, very good. 6 for pronunciation. And then your grammar, I think, is the area that you need to work on the most. Now, this again is an issue for lots of Spanish speakers and people from Mexico, is that similar to people from the Philippines. So in the Philippines, they speak a type of English, but they make lots of errors that they're unaware of. In Mexico, and a lot of Spanish speakers, very, very fluent, but they're making these little minor errors. So it's not stopping anybody understanding you. Everyone can understand you. You don't have serious grammar issues, but you do have little small grammatical errors, like every single people instead of every single person. So understanding singular versus plural. The 2 of November instead of the 2nd of November. If the childs can understand. If the children can understand. If you want a band 7, most of your sentences should have no grammatical errors in them. At the moment, most of your sentences have at least one small grammatical error, but they're not big errors. They're small little errors. So you would get a band 6 for grammar. So overall, you would get 6.5. That is the most common score in IELTS, and that is not bad. That is good. Since, considering you've only been learning English for 3 or 4 years, you are in and around the average. So 6.5 would allow you to go to university in any university in America or UK or Canada or whatever. That's a very, very good level. You only need over a 6.5, a band 7, if, for example, you wanted to become a doctor or a lawyer or a software engineer or something like that, and you wanted to move to an English-speaking country and prove that you could speak English to that level. So for the vast majority of the world, 6.5 is really, really good. But if you wanted to take things to the next level, I would work on pronunciation and grammar. If you want to take it very, very seriously, I would go to classes, general English classes, not IELTS classes, twice a week for, 2 or 3 times a week for 1 hour or 2 hours will make a huge difference. Don't try and do it all in one go and get better immediately. Just do maybe 2 to 4 hours a week and your English will really, really improve.
I feel like a cavernicola now.
Who?
Like the old people that used to live in the prehistory. They don't speak properly language. They just like, no. I feel like that because if I have these mistakes, I feel that if I have a conversation with a British person or English speaker, they will think that I am like
who gets to a 6.5 level means that they have put in a huge amount of work to get to that level. If anyone judges you for that, then they're an asshole and you shouldn't respect their opinion. The only way someone should ever judge you negatively is if you go around telling everyone that you're great at English and you want to be an English teacher and you want to tell other people, but you're not doing that. You're very humble, you're trying your best, so you should be very proud. If I went to Mexico and I learned a few Mexican sentences, or Spanish sentences, you'd be like, "Oh, that's great. That's
yeah.
And I would be very bad,
Yeah.
You're way above that. So you're doing it very, very, very well. You are at a very typical high level, but you just need a little bit of work. It's kind of like I look at YouTube comments and I'll see 99 good ones and then I see one negative one and I'm like, oh, my channel is terrible. When someone is criticizing you and saying you made this, you only focus on the mistakes.
Yeah.
But most of your sentences, you can watch the video back. Most of your sentences were great, but you're only making these little, so don't feel bad. You're doing very, very well. And I'm just giving you advice on if you want to get better. If you only want to live in Mexico or a country, even if you move to the UK, my wife is not from the UK. She's not an English.
Where is she from?
Vietnam.
Wow.
So she moved there and she was about your level when she moved there. And now many years later, she's at like a band 9 level. Your fiance, I assume that you're going to get married. And if you want to move to the UK, at the moment, 6.5 is more than enough to get the visa, the thing and everything. So
seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went through the whole process with my wife. So
okay, that's good to know.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.